Samson, Strength of the Bible. Welcome to Daily Bible, where we explore the powerful stories of Scripture that inspire reflection, faith, and growth. Today we dive deep into the story of Samson and Delilah, a tale of extraordinary strength, human weakness, love, betrayal, and redemption. Found in the book of Judges, this story offers timeless lessons about trust, obedience, and the consequences of our choices. Samson's story begins with divine intervention. The Israelites were suffering under the oppression of the Philistines, who had ruled over them for 40 years. In this time of despair, an angel of the Lord appeared to Manoah's wife, a woman unable to have children. The angel announced, "You're going to become pregnant and give birth to a son. He will take the lead in delivering Israel from the hands of the Philistines." The child, Samson, was to be a Nazirite, dedicated to God from birth. As part of this vow, he was forbidden to drink wine, touch anything unclean, or cut his hair. His strength would come from his obedience to God and his Nazirite vow. From an early age, it was clear that Samson was no ordinary man. As he grew, the Spirit of the Lord began to stir in him, and his physical strength became legendary. Samson's strength wasn't just physical, it symbolized God's power working through him to deliver Israel. However, alongside his strength was a weakness. Samson was impulsive and often driven by his desires rather than God's guidance. Samson's troubles began with his relationships. He fell in love with a Philistine woman from Timnah, against his parents' wishes. During the wedding preparations, Samson posed a riddle to the Philistines, wagering garments as a prize. When his wife revealed the answer to the riddle after being pressured, Samson's anger led him to kill 30 Philistines to pay his debt. This act of vengeance began a cycle of conflict between Samson and the Philistines, who sought to capture him. Despite his flaws, God continued to use Samson to deliver Israel. His strength allowed him to defeat armies and perform incredible feats, such as killing 1,000 men with the jawbone of a donkey. But Samson's lack of self-control and his tendency to trust the wrong people set the stage for his downfall. Samson's greatest challenge came when he fell in love with Delilah, a woman from the valley of Sorek. The Philistine rulers saw an opportunity to exploit this relationship. They approached Delilah and offered her a substantial sum of silver to discover the secret of Samson's strength. Motivated by greed, Delilah agreed. Delilah began to press Samson, asking him repeatedly for the secret of his strength. 3 times Samson deceived her, giving false answers about how he could be subdued. Each time, Delilah acted on his lies, only for Samson to escape unharmed. However, Delilah persisted, using emotional manipulation to wear him down. She accused him of not truly loving her because he refused to confide in her. Finally, after relentless pressure, Samson revealed the truth. "No razor has ever been used on my head, because I've been a Nazirite dedicated to God from my mother's womb. If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man." Let's pause for a moment. Samson's vulnerability to Delilah's persistence reminds us of the dangers of misplaced trust and allowing temptation to lead us away from God's will. If this story inspires you to reflect on the choices that shape your life, take a moment to subscribe to Daily Bible. Together, we'll uncover more lessons that guide us toward faith and wisdom. Delilah betrayed Samson's trust. While he slept on her lap, she had his hair cut, and his strength left him. The Philistines seized him, gouged out his eyes, and took him to Gaza, where they bound him with bronze shackles and forced him to grind grain in prison. Samson's physical blindness mirrored his spiritual blindness, as he had allowed his desires and poor choices to lead him away from God. But even in his lowest moment, Samson's story was not over. As he worked in the prison, his hair began to grow back, symbolizing the possibility of renewal and redemption. Samson's time in captivity gave him an opportunity to reflect on his life and turn back to God. One day, the Philistines held a great festival to honor their god Dagon, celebrating what they believed was their victory over Samson. They brought Samson out to entertain them, mocking the man who had once been their greatest threat. The temple was filled with Philistine rulers and spectators, making it the perfect opportunity for Samson's final act of faith. Samson prayed to God, "Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please, God, strengthen me just once more, and let me with one blow get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes." Placed between 2 central pillars of the temple, Samson pushed with all his might. The temple collapsed, killing Samson and thousands of Philistines. In his death, Samson achieved the greatest victory against Israel's enemies, fulfilling his role as a deliverer. The story of Samson and Delilah offers profound lessons. It reminds us that our strengths are gifts from God and must be used for His purposes. It warns against the dangers of temptation, misplaced trust, and living without self-control. Most importantly, it shows that even in our failures, God's grace offers redemption and the opportunity to fulfill His purpose. Thank you for joining me today as we explored the story of Samson and Delilah. Their story challenges us to reflect on the choices we make, the relationships we build, and the faith we place in God's purpose. If this reflection has touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to Daily Bible for more inspiring lessons and stories from Scripture. Until next time, may your strength come from God, your choices honor Him, and your life reflect His purpose and grace.